Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is Dr. Loso, and today we have a special guest, Beth Noser. She is the Associate Director of Technology and a Program Director for KC Women in Tech. And the first company that she works with is a lot of letters, but I'll let Beth tell you a lot more about what she does and who she does it for. So Beth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yes, as you said, I am an Associate Director of Technology at VML Y&R. They're a marketing and advertising agency. You've probably seen a lot of their advertisements and websites that our clients have, and our clients include Wendy's, Ford, United Rentals, the Department of Tennessee Tourism, Smirnoff, ConAgra, food brands, Carhartt, you name it, we've probably touched it. There's a lot of brands and companies that we work with, and making sure that their whole creative side works with both marketing, advertising, and technology, which includes their websites or applications.
Interesting. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And so you said the Kentucky KC Women in Tech. Is that Kentucky?
Yeah. No, Kansas City.
Okay, because I might be hungry over here. I'm thinking about Kentucky.
Yep.
Okay, Kansas City Women in Tech. And what do you do there? Is it similar roles?
It's actually a pretty different role. So with Kansas City Women in Tech, I'm a program director. I help lead programs that teach women how to code and just be a community for women that are in the technology industry.
Gotcha. So I know you're really passionate about, like you just spoke a couple of minutes ago, about getting women and minorities into tech. So do you have an educational background in technology, or is it just something that you picked up after college or on your own on the side?
Yeah, it was a lot to do with learning on my own. I got a bachelor's in business. I thought I was going to own my own business. And then the only job I could get outside of college after I earned my degree was in HR. And I had applied to tons of jobs. It was in 2008 when the market had kind of crashed, and I was in college and looking for roles at the same time, and ended up in an HR role while finishing my degree, and then stuck with that for a while, but realized that like HR is not for me because I have weird hair colors and wear weird clothes that like didn't abide by the dress code. And here I was like having to enforce the rules, and I wasn't even like abiding by them. So I needed something a little more creative, and I saw the folks over working in IT getting to do that, and it sparked a lot of interest for me to be in the technology industry and transfer over to IT. So I did that, and I found that I really was able to be more creative. And then I saw, because of being in that role, there were very few women and very few minorities, a lot of cis white males that were in the tech department. And I didn't realize that when I was working in HR. And I didn't realize that when I was in college that I could get a job in technology. So seeing that I was one of few, no matter what, like my intersections are of being a woman, being bisexual, whatever my thing was, like I was a minority in that. And so I wanted to help grow that in our industry.
Great. It's great stuff. That's so interesting to me that you said about like you didn't know that you could get a job in technology, because I think that's one of the big things for a lot of minorities, especially when we're kids, is that our parents or just our environments or surroundings kind of limit our perception or mentality of what's out there, and it just kind of like tells us like these are the things that you could do, you know. So for me, it's a funny story, but when I worked at the Boys and Girls Club, from Mississippi, and I knew that I didn't get a lot of exposure to a lot of different things. So I tried to expose the kids in my classroom to just a lot of different things like architecture. Just we had somebody, a Japanese lady, and she would come in and talk about Japanese culture and show the kids like the backpacks that the students in Japan wear to school. So just to get them exposed. And one of the parents told me that some of the people working there were complaining that I was doing too much with the kids. And I'm just like, well, that's the whole purpose of them coming to the Boys and Girls Club, to learn and be exposed to, you know, more worldly social things. Um, so I think that with technology roles still in the Black community, I think it's getting better, but I still think that it isn't as what's the word that I'm looking for? Like, it isn't publicized that much within the community. Like, I still, in my opinion, saw way too many kids when I worked there saying, little boys saying that they wanted to go to the leagues. What would you say are some things that may be barriers of entry outside of, I guess, the system, so to speak, for minorities?
That's a good one. I think a lot of it has to do with education, or a lack of resources, or lack of knowledge of those resources. There's a lot of programs now that are free for people to learn how to code, and it even starts younger. There are programs like Code Ninjas, and one particular in Kansas City, We Code KC, where and like Coder Dojos, where we're able to teach children how to code. And that just shows like you can do this at any age, and then you can have a career in that. And so then like another barrier to entry, just specifically to minorities and adults, is transportation, money, just getting a degree in that. And that's why we offer like free resources, things like launchcode.org or Kansas City Women in Tech, where we offer free programs to learn how to code. Childcare is another one. You have so many people who can't upskill or go back to school because of childcare or money or transportation, like a lot of things. Those are the barriers to entry. And I think that we need to do our part in sponsoring people to be able to enter without those barriers.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and get a little bit into KC Women in Tech and talk more about what you all do specifically, because it sounds like it's a lot of good stuff.
It is. It's so much great stuff that we offer. One of the programs that I'm a director for is Tech Talks, and we have those once a month where we just have a panel of people who will talk about a specific topic related to technology. A recent one that we had was just learning how to build your personal brand and creating your resume and your LinkedIn profile, and just really bringing your full authentic self forward in getting a job in technology. We might also do tech talks on different roles in technology. So whether that be software development, product management, data analysis, agile, like Scrum Masters, any of those kind of roles that are beyond just a software developer or software engineer that are coding.
Gotcha. Do you all do anything with CompTIA?
We do not. But that's another part of IT that I think is those like certifications and things like that are very much needed in your portfolio of skills that will help you land a job in IT. Okay.
'Cause I know they do just a lot of different philanthropy type of stuff. So I'll do some work with them. That's why I was asking about that. So maybe we could talk afterwards and see if that might be some type of partnership or connection there with you and KC Women in Tech.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So what other programs, besides the one that you have, do you all offer with KC Women in Tech? Do you go into the community a lot, or is it more so, I guess, within the business sectors?
So it is community driven. It's grassroots where we try to find members and participants that are in the community that want to learn how to code. And so we'll have programs like Coding and Cocktails, where on Saturday nights we drink cocktails and then learn how to code. And it's very basic, like beginner things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so that women can learn how to code for free and have fun doing it, drinking cocktails with friends that they're making. We also have some like weekend programs too, every once in a while, like Django Girls, where they learn how to code over the course of a weekend in a specific language like Django or Python.
Okay. I love the cocktails and code. So
Yeah.
I'm an instructional designer, and I feel like I'm saying that on every podcast now, every episode now. But I was on this little discussion. Somebody made a post on LinkedIn about instructional design. They had made a post about the ADDIE model, and the guy commented and said, "Why does instructional design have to be so complicated?" And so I agreed with him, but of course, nobody else agreed with the guy. And I was like, I made something to the effect of, when I learn, or when most people learn, it's not this whole big involved thing. They're either doing something, they're watching something, and it's fun. And so he was talking about how it's, making learning fun. And they was like, oh, it's not about making learning fun or entertaining, but like it's a memorable experience. Like you retain it, what you're learning more when the experience is fun. Like, make the objectives and the content and all that stuff relevant and great. But at the same time, I think so much training is boring. So, when you got adults out there having a good time, having thrown a couple of drinks back and learning how to code it was like, oh, that was so much fun. I want to go do it again. So it gives them kind of like motivation to come back and do it again. So I definitely think that that's a great thing. And I think too, like, there used to be stigmas with trying to do like education or learning with alcoholic beverages. And I think that with people now are just like, forget that. Like, let's go out here and have a good time and do it. So that's pretty dope.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think with that too, like you're just creating a community with people. And so while I'm there learning, I'm also building relationships with people, and that like also builds my network, so that then if they know that I have a job in the technology sector, and they can reach out to me and say, hey, like I learned how to code and I know that you're hiring developers. I already have a relationship with them from those programs that we had, and they just are with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm. And two is kind of like, for me, like moving to Dallas and in Orlando's, like after you get out of college, it's hard to make adult friends. So,
Right.
that sounds like a perfect opportunity to learn something and be able to potentially enhance your career and your income and just quality of life and make friends at the same time. So I think that's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, with it, is it a bring your own device type of deal, or do you all provide devices?
Yeah, so it is mostly a bring your own device situation with all of our programs at Kansas City Women in Tech, but we know that we want to provide an inclusive space. So if there are people that, again, like a barrier to entry, that don't even have access to devices, we offer like loaner programs where we can loan a computer during that time frame, and offer scholarships to people who can't afford our paid courses and things like that.
Okay, that's what's up. Do you all do stuff like with iPads? Can people come in there and take part of the programs on an iPad, or does it have to be like a traditional type of laptop?
Yeah, it'd be a traditional type of laptop, but it can be a Mac or Windows operating system.
Okay. Cool. So tell me a little bit about what really sparked your passion, because I mean, just from talking to you earlier, you seem to be really passionate about helping women and minorities. Was there some experience for you? I know you had mentioned a little bit about, making that shift from HR over into IT, but did you see like there being this really huge need, or is it just something that you wanted to see more of that diversity in that area?
I think a few factors come to mind for me. One is being the first college graduate in my family and knowing that there's something beyond this small redneck town that I grew up in, and like being a part of something greater, and knowing that like technology was growing so fast, even just 10 years ago. And but what wasn't growing fast was the amount of diversity in it. And like I said, when I transferred over and just saw a bunch of cis white males, I was like, we need to do something about this. And so I found Kansas City Women in Tech as a community for me, for women, but there's still that barrier for minorities too. And then when you combine like women and minorities, like women that are of color, like have an even slimmer chance of being in the technology industry. So, or even just the pay gaps with women and between women and men, and then between white women and women of color. Like there's a huge drastic gap between those two types of people too.
Mm-hmm. So I know you talked about being creative. How has this working with the KC Women in Tech allowed you to be more creative? Is it as far as like, I know we talked about the hair and like the clothing and stuff like that, but was part of that also just creativity with the work that you do? Because I know it seems like HR can be very mundane and boring. And so was that part of the creativity part that you were talking about?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a part of it. Being able to build applications that can do anything and serve any purpose was really awesome for me. Like being able to build my first website and say that I built it and I designed it was really awesome. And then now in my current role at VMLY&R, like as a like a product manager, I get to be at the center of business, user experience, design, and technology. So I get to bring all of that together and bring it to life, really. And so I work with designers and they show me like how cool they can make it and make it just look beautiful too. And then the developers get to actually develop it and bring that to life and see like how the designers and developers have made something really awesome.
I want to ask you about that too, like making that transition from the HR position into a tech position, and then within the tech position, you have pretty significant, roles. You're directors and what else we have here? Associate director.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's interesting how all of my skills have brought me to where I am today. Constantly learning. Like I'm passionate about learning and always curious about the new things. So coming from HR and applying transferable skills was something that I needed to do, along with earning certifications and teaching myself about IT, and all of that really helped me get out of the HR world and into technology. And then just, it's ever changing. So I'm constantly learning, like I said. And so even today I earned a new certification. Like I'm constantly looking at certifications that I can learn and apply to anything that I'm doing. So if I don't know as much about Google Analytics, then I want to go out there and learn that so that I can apply that knowledge to what I'm doing or whatever it is.
Gotcha. And you probably said this already, but with the programs, the KC Women in Tech, does that focus solely on coding or programming?
It does mostly focus on computer programming and learning like how to code. Our tech talks are the only ones that are a little bit different, but that that's more of a panel of experts telling you about their knowledge and being thought leaders in the industry.
Okay. Okay. And could you talk to the listeners a little bit, like if somebody's thinking about switching jobs, like reskilling or getting into coding specifically?
Yeah.
I know you was self-taught, but how, like, where did you start? Like, where, if somebody's looking to start, where would you suggest they start at? Like HTML, I know that's typically it's markup language, and I know they have something now called Markdown language. I think that they use in GitHub. I don't know. I do some of that stuff at work, and so it's just like.
Yeah, definitely starting with the foundations of HTML and CSS and JavaScript would be the first three to learn. And then beyond that, it depends on what you would like to do, like with the languages that you're learning. So like Python is more towards like data driven, or if you React does things with web applications, and or if you want to be an iOS developer, like, or an Android developer, it depends on like what you want to do with what languages that you should learn, and staying up to date with what the market is doing. I know in particular, there's some communities that are not like heavy on using Angular, but others are really into it, and or vice versa. Like they really love Drupal, and those are like all the websites that are being built for that particular company or that sector of the community. It really just depends on what you want to do, but you could find that, and learning multiple languages I think is great, but sticking with the foundations of one and really learning the ins and outs of that and then moving on to another language can really just upskill you even more and make yourself more marketable.
Great advice. And I feel like this coding is something that people could move around within with relative ease once they get the basics or the understanding of how coding works. Because I feel like in the future, or even where we're at right now, everything is seemingly very much so software driven. I feel like it used to be, the tech where it used to be more so hardware driven. Like we need to get a new processor, we need to get, more gigabytes and more RAM and all this stuff. And that's kind of seemingly peaked in a sense. And it's like now it's about clean coding and this type of stuff. And I don't really know what clean coding is. For me, in my head, it means like reducing the number of lines of code. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just made that up. Yeah. Somewhat of a genius.
Yeah.
But it's just like everything, like AI, Chat GPT, everything is. But I know you have to have like your servers and all that stuff. But it seems like the innovation there isn't. You get what I'm saying? It's not as big as like the software side of things. It seems like it's flipped.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I think in the future, besides hiring more diverse talent and seeing more tech startups on the scene in the next couple of years due to the layoffs from all those huge tech giants, I think that you will see a huge need for cloud computing, cybersecurity, and AI. I think those will just continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. I had somebody on here a couple of weeks ago. I just released her episode a couple of weeks ago. She was talking about cybersecurity, and we were talking about how that's like just a ever evolving thing that we would have to deal with. So that'll definitely be interesting to see where that goes in the future. And we talked about things like the deep fake and stuff like that. So
yeah.
So that's going to be interesting
for sure. Hey, this is Beth Noser. You're listening to Career Insights 501 with Dr. Loso.
So okay. I wanted to get your opinion on just like with like the mass layoffs. I feel like what's going to happen is that there are going to be a lot of startups that come in and might overtake some of these bigger tech companies, especially like these social media platforms. So, of course, we met on Polywork, and to me, Polywork is very revolutionary in a sense. Maybe not revolutionary, but I mean, I think it's a smart idea because a lot of social media is based off of like social media platforms and networking and collaborating now, especially with the younger generations. So I think polywork was like really smart. At first, I was just like, I'll try this thing out. Then I got, and I was like, I don't really know what the hell is going on here. And then so I, used it more and more. I was like, okay. And then I posted on there, and I was like, oh wow, like all these people are reaching out to collaborate. So I think like a lot of great things are going to come from that app. And Polywork is not paying me by any means. They're a startup company. They're just starting out, so I don't think they have any money to be paying for sponsorships or anything like that. But I just think it was like a really great thing. I'm not really one to get on here and brag about like products and stuff like that, but I thought it was cool because I'm just like, met a lot of great people. But do you think that with people gaining these skills and all these resources that are out here for women and minorities to learn these things at home and go to these events like you all have on the weekends and after work, that there's going to be a big surgence or like a shakeup in the tech industry since a lot of things are so software driven?
Yeah, I certainly think so. And especially like you're saying in social media, I am from the generation that has seen it all evolve, being on Zynga and MySpace, like the beginning of it all. And now like my kids are using things that I don't even know exist. And that part's a little scary, but seeing the evolution of social media and all the different kinds that there have been. And, when Vine was really popular, like, I don't know, maybe a decade ago, and now it's not really a thing, but TikTok, essentially the same thing, but has taken over. And so I think we'll see that, like, evolutions of different types of social media, and like you're saying, the needs for it. Like, I really do think it's interesting that, like you're saying with Polywork, that it is this place for you to connect and network with people you don't know. Because when I like go and look out for jobs or opportunities, I'm looking at LinkedIn, or I'm asking like my internal networks on Facebook or whatever to look for those things. And the fact that Polywork and apps like that exist, I think is really great, and we'll continue to see even more of those. And like beyond social media, seeing more tech startups, like you're saying, this big shakeup and a surge and them being created, I think will definitely happen because all of these brilliant people got laid off from those huge tech companies. And while they're, living off their severance pay, they're going to be bored, and they're going to come up with some huge idea that will take off for sure. And I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. And I think so. I think too, a part of that is like they're going to be bored, and they're going to be like, well, I was doing my job completely fine at home, so why do I have to go back to an office? And I have these skills, and I met these people at work, and we can get on here and create, our own thing. We can. So I think that is going to drive change. In my mind, I would like to see more smaller businesses sprout out of this, and the the demise of a lot of these bigger companies, because I think the just coming back to the office part is, to be quite frank, stupid, especially for sure. a lot of you don't really have to go back to the office to do your job. Like, there's been reports that are saying that people are being more productive and things like that. So if there's like a single parent, like a lady, she's a single parent and she has kids, and she can stay at home and take care of all that, say, hey, I'll be gone for a couple of hours, need to go pick up the kids, I need to take them to school. Like, it's just been so much better, I think, for the morale, the family life, the work-life balance of a lot of people, and they're not missing out on these, special parts of their lives and their loved ones' lives. So, and I do think that women are going to be a big driving force in that change, because they've gotten a taste of what, being a professional woman, not really having to sacrifice like they've had to do for so long. Like, either you're going to be this career woman and you have to put off having kids and do all this stuff, you know, like you read about, and or you know, you got to kind of like be a half-ass mom if you're going to be trying to, you know, because they trying to have to compete with men and everything. You know, it like it sucks in a lot of ways. So I think right now it's just rough and rocky, but I hope a lot of great things for the people come out of this and not necessarily big corporations. So
Yeah, I agree. And I found that to be true. I worked from home prior to the pandemic, and I didn't have to sacrifice being a mom or a wife or all of the other things that I am to do my job. I'm able to set my schedule and say, hey, like, I take the kids to school and pick them up at these times. Like, I'm not going to be on calls and I'm going to be away from my computer. Or like, I'm able to schedule therapy or gym classes or whatever it is, like live my life within the 9 to 5 as well. And I don't have to do it outside of those hours. It's really made it really flexible for me and spend more time with my kids and my husband. Like, they're on spring break right now and they're home, and I'm able to spend time with them and do whatever they want to do, and then go and work for a few hours while I entertain them with video games.
yeah, you know, like you could go travel somewhere, and if you have to stay in the hotel for most of the day or all of the day, still do stuff outside of work, you know, instead of just being at home for spring break, you know. So it's just like
Right.
a lot of benefits to that. So you all, Gen Z, Alpha generation, give them hell. I don't know. I'm a older millennial.
Oh, I am
said-
too. I just look young.
Okay. Yeah, when you were saying like Zynga and MySpace, and I was like, damn. I thought she was like 20 something.
Yeah. I'm 33. I'm getting up there.
Okay. Yeah. So you were around for the good old days. What's his name? Tom, the guy on MySpace.
Oh yeah, Tom from
Yeah.
MySpace. Yeah.
What would be some careers that you would suggest to women or minorities to look at as maybe like first careers to get into? Like if they've gotten those basic HTML or Java skills, or do you think there's specific job titles or roles that they should consider that could probably be more, I guess, obtainable? Because I know a lot of times you get these skills and it's just hard applying for, you know, job after job after job when you're just applying for any and everything. So are there certain roles that they should focus their efforts around?
Yeah, it depends on what they want to do. I certainly think of learning how to code. The first job out there is like a junior software developer. And there are other jobs in technology if they don't want to code. And if they want to be in that technology space but don't yet know how to code, I think learning anything you can about computers, whether it's hardware or software, and getting into like a tech support role is a great like way, like entry point into technology, and moving up into like applications analyst or applications developer. And there are other roles outside of applications and websites too. Like you can do within the cybersecurity realm and identity and access management, networking, and there's a whole lot of skills outside of just the development portion that can be used. I think a lot of people can transfer into project management and Scrum Master roles and have really good transferable skills to get in there too.
Okay. I think those are really good. I keep forgetting about like the Agile and Scrum Master and all that, because that definitely is a big thing within these tech industries.
Yeah.
So I work for Discover, and they do a lot of the Agile work, Flow, and Scrum Masters. And I've had experience with, I got first introduced to Scrum, I guess, about 10 years ago. So it was a alien concept to me until then. What would be some professional development things that people who are already in tech, like women already in tech, that they could do?
I think some things that women can do to develop their school skills and strengthen their skills is earning certifications, whether that be like a Scrum certification or a PMP, or even just things within their lane, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity and learning, getting some certifications within that realm, I think would be great. Or even going back to school to learn about leadership and management and just, if you're working towards climbing the career ladder, I think once you have the base foundation of what your job is, and then
Mm-hmm.
how can you show your managerial skills and your leadership skills will help, get you to the next level.
I think that's important because when we talk about technology, a lot of times people don't think about I guess the human side of it, like the people side of technology. We
Yeah.
think about just the hardware, software, coding, servers, routers, cloud, all that. We don't think about the management of the technology or the management of the people in the technology. So you don't necessarily have to become like expert, kind of like you were saying. Once you get the foundation, the basis of that technology, then you can work on those managerial skills.
Yeah.
That leads me to say that because I think that a lot of times when we think about a manager, we think that a manager is supposed to be an expert of something. But what I've come to realize that a manager is just supposed to be able to do that, manage, be it people or projects, and not necessarily be an expert in how to do the job, so to speak. And I think that's, in my opinion, more so in larger companies, because maybe a small business can't really afford to have a manager that's not an expert. They need that manager to be the expert to be able to jump in there and take care of serious problems when they come up. But yeah, that's just my little spiel on that.
Yeah. I agree with you, though. I think that a lot of soft skills in comes with leadership in managing people. But when you talk about leadership within your roles, especially thought leadership, that's becoming your subject matter expert in your field, and being able to teach others about the knowledge that you have regarding that specific thing is really important to help level yourself up, because you do have that whole knowledge base, and you can be a thought leader without managing people.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, when you go to manage people, critical thinking skills, problem solving, conflict resolution, all of those soft skills are very important to have if you want to lead people.
Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to ask you, what are some things for people out here listening that they could do to display those skills? So just say if they went to W3 schools or something and they say, oh, I'm good at HTML5. Like, how could they put that online in some type of way to show an employer if they're if they don't have relevant work skills, if they're reskilling?
Yeah, I definitely think a portfolio is important, and having an online portfolio through GitHub is a really great way to show those skills. And if you go through a boot camp or a traditional college degree, you should come out of that with a portfolio too. Whatever you're learning, you can put into that portfolio that you have.
Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that you could use GitHub to use it as a portfolio. I'm not really that familiar with GitHub, but that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So, what would you say as a woman in technology? Have been some of your biggest, I guess, trials or struggles, and how have you dealt with those things?
Yeah, I'd say one of my biggest struggles is having a seat at the table and being taken seriously, and listening to the voice that I have and just owning my own voice. I feel like it took a really long time for me to gain that confidence. And then I had to find a mentor and a sponsor that would show up for me and, you know, pull out that chair at the table to give me a seat at the table. And thank goodness I had those types of managers in the past that would do that for me. And now that I have a seat at the table, I'm doing the same thing. I'm pulling the seat up for others. Or if I'm saying there's not a seat for you here now, like, let's build your own damn table and your own damn chairs and give you your own space. And that's not for like lack of being inclusive. It's just like the way times are with like budgets or whatever. Like in my own company, if I can't give you a seat at the table within my company, like how can I do that for you elsewhere? And that deals a lot with building my network and meeting people that do have seats at tables elsewhere.
So when you talked about finding that voice, what were some things that you had to work through with yourself to find that? Was it were you intimidated by being around all these like cis men in the room and not taking you seriously? So it's a conversation that I had with some people back here in January, how, you know, women being assertive, they're called a bitch versus, and then I said that like, men always talk about women being emotional, but men are emotional as well, but it's just on a different spectrum a lot of times, like the anger and rage and like, you know, a lot of the stuff that they do, but it's become acceptable, or those things seems like, power. You know, I feel like sometimes instead of a man crying, like they talk about a woman, he's getting mad and in a rage and yelling and that sort of thing. So it's just kind of like the same but different in, you know. So I feel like it's frustration, and they are in a sense in a moment of weakness because they don't know what to do, or they can't do anything. They're helpless. They can't, you know, implement their idea, or their boss not listening to them, and they're rageful instead of you know, crying or whatever. So it's the whole mentality is crazy. But anyway, you can.
Yeah, I think I truly found my voice in learning how to accept feedback and give feedback. Yeah, I learned a long time ago that behind every complaint is a desire. So if someone was complaining to me about something, I had to get to kind of using root cause analysis, like what did they really want? What did they desire in this complaint that they have? Or why are they getting so heated? And being objective, I think, was really important for me to learn. And then for myself, giving feedback to others. When I was giving feedback to men, like I had to learn like not to raise my voice and not letting others mistake my kindness for weakness. And so I can provide constructive feedback and be kind, but also like not cower down and be assertive with that without being mean. And I think a lot of that is focused around the different types of feedback and knowing what that person wants when it comes to feedback. And so those types of feedback can be coaching or accolades, and like the different types of feedback that are important is seeing if someone wants to be coached or if they needed to learn something and how to get the answer that they needed. Like, I think it's important to see like what that person really wants and have an open conversation with them, and being authentic, I think, is really important in like finding your voice.
Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I think the other thing I can mention is how because I landed on an unconventional path to get where I am. And because of that, I have an expert knowledge in being a woman in technology, that I started offering career coaching to women, specifically in the technology industry, but also I can coach outside of that too, in those like soft skills and all of that. And I think that it's important that we are there for each other, and I can, offer up my skills to help other people grow. And that's what really made me dive into this career coaching role on the side of the other few jobs that I have of being a director in technology and a program director for KC Witt. That seeing how much I can help women in technology, I decided to start being a career coach to help even further.
Okay. Now, is that your side business?
Yeah, that's a side hustle for sure.
Okay. Gotcha. So, yeah, I'll give you a opportunity to tell people if you want to go in more detail about that and how they can get in contact with you in regards to that. But first, I'm going to introduce the new title of this section called Lighten Up. And we're going to ask some fun questions and just take more of a chill and relaxed approach to the interview. So, Beth, if we were to, are you a Spotify person or Apple Music?
Ooh, yep, Spotify, yep.
Okay, so if we were to open up your Spotify, what will we find you listening to?
Oh, man. So my algorithm is jacked thanks to my kids. They play like DaBaby, and I don't even know like what rappers there are nowadays, but I'm an old school emo kid for sure. So there's a lot of Dashboard Confessional, Death Cab for Cutie, brand new on there. But I'm also really into 90s country, so like Reba McEntire and Garth Brooks. Yeah, Shania Twain. You can find me either like crying in the dark or like boot scootin' boogie and everything in between. I was a hip hop dancer for a while, so I love like hip hop music too. Like DMX is my jam, so I love it all.
Is Evanescence considered emo?
No, I would say more alternative or
alternative rock.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't listened to them in a while. I have to go back and listen to some of their stuff.
Yeah.
I used to work at FYE in the mall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so I got turned on to a lot of different music working there. So we're gonna do. Would you rather? I'm going to ask you 5 questions.
Okay.
You're going to have to tell me which one you would rather do. Okay. Would you rather have all dogs try to attack you when they see you, or all birds try to attack you when they see you?
Oh, shoot. I guess dogs, because I really hope they would just be like, oh, she's one of us, and just like start licking me instead.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather live until you are 200 but look like you are 200 the whole time even though you are healthy? Or would you look like you are 25 all the way up until you die at the age of 65?
Oh, man. Looks aren't everything. I could live until I'm 200. Like, that's totally fine for me.
Okay. Would you rather be able to turn invisible or stop time? Or, oh, this one's messed up. I guess it's would you rather be able to be invisible or stop time?
Ooh, I would rather be invisible. Like, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and that invisibility cloak, that's what's up.
Have you been to the park, to Universal?
Yes. This past year, we went to Universal Studios and did the whole Wizarding World. Yeah.
Okay. The train is pretty dope with the little things on the side. And so, do you know how the train works? So I used to live in
No,
Orlando, so I worked at Disney and Universal for a while.
that's
But
cool.
it's a pulley system, so it's only one train, and it thing pulls it this way to take you one way, and so that's
Oh,
why it takes so long, because it's literally only one
one.
train.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. Would you rather be able to fit in your high school clothes or have chocolate cake every night?
Ooh, chocolate cake every night. Again, looks aren't everything.
Well, the other one is like, she looks young anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Like, she,
I know, right? I'm already going to look 25 when I'm 65.
right? Would you rather be near deaf or hear everything 2 minutes later?
What?
Right. So you have a delayed hearing by 2 minutes.
Oh, delayed hearing. I feel like I already have that too.
All right. So this is the last one. Would you rather get $100,000 now or get $1 million in a year?
Oh, $1 million in a year. I can wait.
Yeah, I can definitely wait on that. I was like, what? This is not even. Somebody must need this money pretty bad if they think
Right?
$100,000.
They owe some loan sharks.
They owe some long sharks. So I wanted to ask you: are there any things that you do for like self-care?
Ooh, what do I do for self-care? I read a lot.
Okay.
I listen to music. I watch TV. That's like really my self-care, is just like being a couch potato, popping in a gummy and watching TV.
Just a gummy.
Yeah, just one gummy. Just one gummy. That's all I can do.
So, is there any other thing that you want to say? I know we mentioned your side business there, your coaching business that you have.
Yeah, so people can find me at bethnoser.com, and there you can learn about how I mentor and coach others and the different programs that I offer. And soon I'll have some courses that you can take from me, whether it's learning about DEI initiatives and intersectionality, or it's within your own career and moving up in your career and needing help with resumes or interview coaching, and or where you even start to transition your career.
Alrighty, everybody, that's it for this episode. Beth, thank you for coming on the show again.
Thank you.
No problem, and I will be in touch, and have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, you too.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye.